Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Coffee and Football presented by John Donovan and Longhorn Wealth Management Group. I'm your host, Blake Monroe, where I'm joined each and every day by Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton. Tell us where you're checking in from, what you're drinking, get those questions in. And guys, let's just jump right into it because we have a whole lot to talk about. Of course, Texas defeats Colorado State 52-0 over the weekend.
They got the 5.0, Blake.
Yes, they did. Colorado State got manscaped.
Boy, did they.
So let's start there. What were y'all's takeaways from that?
I wrote this morning on ontexasfootball.com, and I truly believe this. That was a complete win for Texas, and it was as good a weekend as you could have for the Longhorns in many respects. Not only did Texas win convincingly, but A&M lost. Brian Kelly proved he still can't coach very well in the fourth quarter at LSU. Florida lost, which I think actually might help Texas, and I'll ask Jerry this, with some recruits down in that neck of the woods as Billy Napier starts his swan song there in Gainesville. A lot of good things went on, but specific to Texas, guys, I thought it looked like a team and a program that was turning the corner from thinking they should win games to knowing they should win games, and this is how and then being able to show people this is how you go do it.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like to me.
It's the old Bobby Bowden saying, when you take a job, you lose big, then you lose small, then you win small, then you win big. That's year 4. And the games you're supposed to win big, I think that's the next step for a team. But again, the other thing is, sorry, my allergies are crushing me. By the way, I'm at Saraland High. I'm on the road all week in the Southeast. KJ Lacey about to start practice. I have a thread on ontexasfootball.com, and I'll be posting photos and news from my travels this week. But that's why I'm in the car. I'm on the road, guys. When Texas is on the road, I'm on the road. We're going to go get recruiting news and show you guys where all these the KJ Lacey's of the world, Saraland High, so y'all can get a look at that and give you updates on all the guys Texas is recruiting in the Southeast region. But look, I thought it was 3 straight years of top 5 recruiting classes and being a blue blood in the portal. There was a massive difference in speed on the field. Oh. And we've been talking about it.
Jay Norville, Jerry, Jay Norville, the Colorado State coach, commented on speed on Saturday after the game. Very much so.
We've been talking about how this is going to be the fastest team under Sark. I've been saying it for months, just following the recruiting. I mean, just knowing the guys, seeing all the guys they're recruiting. This is the fastest team 1 through 85 under Steve Sarkisian. Both sides of the ball, the whole roster. And that shows up in depth in games like this. Everybody that got on the field was a really impressive, fast athlete. And that's where you should be at Texas if you recruited 3 straight top 5 classes and are a blue blood in the portal. And if you're developing your players. Again, we're seeing player development at Texas. I mean, that's a big thing for me is we're continue to see player development at Texas. And by the way, Bobby, one thing you mentioned is how many true freshmen played in that game. Woo! This was a good game for recruiting too. One of the top 26 safeties in the country, Isaiah Williams from Fort Bend Marshall, went to the game with Caleb Chester, turned down the chance to go watch the A&M juggernaut offense against Notre Dame. He went to the Texas game instead. He didn't want to tickle Elko. He wanted to watch the Horns with Caleb Chester. So that was that's a bit good game to have an Isaiah Williams at, a guy that's been a top target of Blake Gideon for a while.
I can't believe you call him Tickle Me Elko. All right. Look, the thing that's going to happen here is we've now got to get through this Colorado State basking in the glow, whatever. We heard in post game that Sark and several of the players already thinking about Michigan. So it's going to be a big week for the Longhorns getting ready for the Wolverines. This is where game day will be. This is where Fox Big Noon will be. This is where we will be all going starting on Friday through the weekend. It is a big non-conference showdown between 2 of the heavyweights of college football. and college football history. The Longhorns head to Ann Arbor for the first time in program history. Jerry, I just can't wait for this. It is it's setting up kind of how we hoped it would, right? Texas has convincing victory. Michigan looks like it sputters a little bit on offense with a new head coach. But Longhorns, got to go do it now. They did move the line from 3.5 to 6.5 over the weekend. I think it started off Longhorns favored by 3.5. Now almost a touchdown favorite in Vegas over the Wolverines. Michigan, of course, started a walk-on quarterback. If you hadn't heard that, Davis Warren, a walk-on quarterback. We'll see where this goes. Michigan is no slouch. Longhorns, though, favored going into the big house. Hey, before we get to the next topic, we've got some stats we want to go over from Saturday's game. We've got some comments we have from folks as well. I want to say thank you to our sponsor. That's John Donovan, president, Longhorn Wealth Management Group. John has a rich family tradition we've talked about many times. That explains why John branded his firm Longhorn Wealth and has dedicated it to providing total wealth management for Texas alums, employees, family, and friends. John's a certified financial planner, has spent more than 30 years providing investment, retirement, insurance, and estate planning services and solutions to Longhorn families and friends across the nation. John's delighted to be celebrating both the Longhorns' dominating win over CSU last Saturday and the 1-year anniversary of becoming a sponsor of On Texas Football on our Monday Coffee and Football and Talking Ball broadcasts. As Longhorn Wealth now enters its second year of sponsorship with OTF, he wants to continue to extend the offer of a free 90-minute consultation to all OTF fans to explore how Longhorn Wealth can help you maximize your wealth, minimize your taxes, and secure your legacy. Simply call John and his team, 972-707-4900, or go online, www.longhornwealth.net, to schedule your free consultation. John hopes to see you all in Ann Arbor this Saturday as we cheer on our Longhorns to a huge victory. Hook 'em. Thanks, John, for your sponsorship and friendship in this endeavor we call On Texas Football and Coffee and Football.
Don't bring up the comments, Blake, because we can't, but I just want to thank Sandman23 for making me laugh every day.
Chad always has.
Hey, Jerry, you do keep – I like your – Jerry, you introduce an amount of levity in this conversation that is much appreciated. I will say that. It's much appreciated, man.
Somebody said Texags is in shambles right now, and they probably should be. That was bad. Look, really good. That'll be the best defensive front Notre Dame plays all year. If Notre Dame doesn't make the playoffs, then they had a slew of injuries, right? But the one thing I want to say on the A&M game, Conor Wegman did not look right out there on the football field. Something's up with him. I hope he's okay, but I don't think he's going to last long as a starting quarterback. He just did not look right out there.
He didn't look comfortable, and I think that the question I asked Rod this too last night, Jerry. I know you were on the road, so you couldn't join us for the broadcast, getting over to Mobile. But I asked Rod, were the guys not open? Was he shell shocked? What was the whole deal? Because he rated last in the entire – Conor Wegman rated last in the entire country in QBR rating, according to QBR, according to Pro Football Focus. That is not – I mean, that's just not Conor Wegman that we saw in high school. So either he's shell-shocked, got PTSD from playing – last year and getting knocked around the last couple of years, actually, or something. But we'll see exactly where that goes and whatnot. What did you think of? What did you guys about before we move on to some more Longhorn stuff? What did you guys think of the USC LSU game last night? I thought Lincoln Riley may have himself an interesting quarterback. He's not a 1-1 guy, like Caleb Williams or Baker Mayfield or Kyler Murray, but I like the moxie of the new USC quarterback. He may have a guy, and he's got some receivers now that'll go up and snatch it.
Yeah. So Miller Moss is a kid you like because I actually have a funny recruiting story with him, but is a kid you like. because he's stuck with the program. So he knows Lincoln Riley's system. He knows what Lincoln Riley wants from the quarterback position. And they do have, obviously USC's got a really good group of wideouts, right? It'll be interesting to see. You know, they have a couple of five-star guys. Anthony Lucas, A&M transfer from Scottsdale. I think the same high school Connor Brewer went to in Scottsdale. Then you have Bear Alexander. You know, that's some highly ranked guys that haven't really panned out on that level yet, but are still quality college players. But the other thing, the thing I really was interested to see, and I think how much can USC improve defensively? Because they still have issues now defensively, and throughout their schedule. That now LSU's offensive line is pretty good, and they held up against the run against LSU. But look, that's a game where, you know, LSU just, 100 yards and penalties, bad timing of penalties, set themselves behind the chains in the second half with false starts with a veteran offensive line, pre-snap penalties. LSU probably doesn't have any toes left this morning. They're all mangled and shot off in that game. I think if LSU and USC played 10 times, LSU may win 7, but it doesn't matter. All that matters is who won the game last night.
Hey, I have something a friend of mine wrote, and this is for all the old timers out there that were watching that game last night. He wrote this to me during the middle of the game, and he said this: when you were young, just think about the game itself and on a Sunday night in Vegas, all this other stuff. He wrote last night, when you were young, did you ever think you would be watching LSU with Notre Dame's winningest coach playing Big Ten powerhouse USC with Oklahoma's coach on a Sunday in Las Vegas in the Raiders Stadium in a game sponsored by the nation's most popular beer, Modelo, with a ref of Chinese heritage? Think about all of the different things that have happened in the last 50 years that culminated. So if you've been around college football for a long time, it has changed. It's definitely changed, but also primetime game on a Sunday night too, yep, from 50 years ago. I think it's actually been a good change. Like, I've enjoyed watching college football develop like this over the years. And Sunday night was a good stuff. Let's get back to the Longhorns a little bit, if you don't mind, Jerry and Blake. Takeaways from the game, Jerry, we mentioned speed a little bit. I talked a little bit about Quinn Ewers. Yesterday, I felt like this Quinn Ewers, the Quinn Ewers that we saw on Saturday in the red zone in particular, was a better Quinn Ewers than what we saw a year ago, all year.
Yeah.
Threw a couple of balls in tight spaces, made some quick decisions. I feel like that Quinn Ewers, that's going to be the difference of him going from year 2 to year 3. It's not how well he throws the ball. The guy's always thrown the ball well, right? It's going to be the little things. And this is what Brian Irwin and Bob Shipley, by the way, were talking about on Lunch with a Coach. Hey, he's going to be fine because he's going to keep improving incrementally. It won't just be this sudden, he goes from a 75 to a 100, on his test score. He's going to go from 75 his first year to 85 last year to 93, 94, 95 this year. That's what they were feeling. And I think we absolutely saw that on Saturday from Quinn Ewers. That was one of my bigger takeaways, actually, what we might see from him this year, just incrementally. Incremental improvement can help Texas score 5 to 7 more points a game.
Yeah, no doubt. And look, he moved with a more confidence and earlier with his feet in the pocket.
Yes.
And that's the biggest thing I think his biggest improvement can continue to come is once the ball's out of his hand, he is tremendous. It's the playing within that pocket and those movement skills within the pocket. I thought he moved a little quicker in the pocket, especially climbing the pocket in those situations. And I thought he looked really, really good throwing the football. He had the one ill-advised play, which the ball that was tipped, he was trying to throw it away, but that's a play where you just hit the deck for 2 yards and take your field goal. That's what you have to do at Michigan this week. I mean, by the way, and I know we're going to get into Michigan talk, but I thought Quinn had a really, really accurate game. I thought it was interesting how Colorado State played him. They respected Texas's speed so much that they pretty much gave up Quinn's strengths. That's in the intermediate game. I was surprised they didn't try to force Texas or give Texas the option to throw deep down the sidelines in that game. I would have kind of pressed that if I was Colorado State, maybe giving up some outside leverage and let them throw it deep down the sidelines a couple times, see what happens. Instead of, I mean, Quinn, when you let Quinn play from the pocket and he's throwing in the intermediate game, now he's really, really good. By the way, I didn't finish my Miller Moss story. Recruiting on the roads. Recruiting on the road's taken me to a lot of places, but I actually I was with a coworker at the time, and the school he covered was getting a visit from Miller Moss. We were out in California seeing some kids, and Miller Moss, we met him and his family in Pacific Palisades. The only time I've been to Pacific Palisades in recruiting, I'll say that. So pretty cool spot to do a recruit interview. I'm not gonna lie. All right, moving on.
You weren't. Here's the deal. You weren't actually recruiting a swimmer. Yeah, you weren't recruiting a world class, like, I don't know, triathlete out of there or something. Right on the coast out in LA. Hey, guys, big day. You talked a little bit about the freshmen early on, Blake and Jerry. Let's go down that list. I think that would be a fun thing to do this morning because, my goodness, let's go by position. Running back Jarrett Gibson led the team in rushing. By the way, 11 carries, 67 yards. Ryan Wingo had the most yards of any player or of any receiver on Saturday. Then you had Jordan Washington got in the game. Parker Livingstone got in the game. Brandon Baker, we talked about this in the pregame, Jerry, when the depth chart came out. He has moved into that second team right tackle spot, beating out Andre Kojo. So he got a chance to play. On the defensive front, Colin Simmons played early and often and looked really good in space, actually. Alex January got good rotation minutes, especially late in the game, alongside, by the way, Sadir Mitchell. Maybe that's something to watch to see if Sadir keeps coming on a little bit.
Sadir didn't look bad in that game. Sadir did not look bad in that game. He's just got to stick with it, get in shape.
Yes. You can see the talent, Jerry. It's there. Yeah. He just has to be consistent and show that he wants to do it every week and every day, not just when the game
wants to.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. At linebacker, Anthony Smith. And then in the secondary, 4 guys played. Kobe Black, Jordan Johnson-Rubel. We had somebody on, I think it was his mom. We didn't have her on. She actually responded to one of the comments in our threads on our YouTube channel. And she said, how about my baby? 3 tackles in 3 minutes for Jordan Johnson-Rubel. He was flying around the ball. Xavier Filsamy, and then Wardell Mack. Pretty nice recipient. He may be here for 4 years. He may never have another interception as pretty as that one that he made on Saturday afternoon. And then obviously Michael Kern also saw action at punter. Very little, by the way. He played less than every other freshman that actually played, which is kind of interesting. But good stuff. Any of those freshmen surprise you guys, Blake or Jerry? Maybe how much work Jarrett Gibson got, but that was a byproduct, I think, of the score. I think it was it felt like it. It felt like Sark said, we've been going at this with 2.5, 3 quarters with Blue and Wisner. He saw Blue get a little bit of a cramp. He's like, I'm going to pull those guys out because we need those longer term, right? Any other freshmen stand out for you guys? Obviously, Wingo. I mean, whoever.
It was late in the game. It's not going to mean anything this season unless there's major injuries. Brandon Baker is going to be a really good player at Texas, guys, at right tackle. He's going to be really good. I thought he looked really good. Jordan Johnson-Rubel has football and athletic instincts. He's going to be a really good player at Texas. I just don't have any doubts. Anthony Smith, don't think about the Anthony Smith we see this year. Think about him at 230 to 235 pounds next year. Anthony Smith's going to be a hell of a player at Texas.
Good stuff. All right, guys, let's go back to Michigan.
Yes,
Now,
let's get to this talk. This is big. This is a huge week.
it is a very, very big week. And first, let's look at their game.
Yeah.
From Saturday. They struggled with Fresno State early on, as you can see. I mean, it was 13-3 through the end of the third quarter, even 10-3 at half. Then they finally came alive a little bit, put up 17 in the fourth quarter. Fresno also scored a touchdown, but final score, Michigan 30, Fresno State 10. I don't know if y'all got a chance to see any of that.
Yeah, I did. So my thing with Fresno State's actually a good football team. They were 9-4 last year. So people just think, oh, it's Fresno State. Fresno State's a good. They're athletically way ahead of Colorado State, right? Does that mean anything for the game Saturday? No. But Fresno State's a pretty good football team. The big thing for me watching Michigan play all year long, I do think Alex Orji will probably have more of a role against Texas this week. But I think the biggest thing with Michigan, and this is really going to be, last year going into the Alabama game, I said offensive line communication was massive. Jake Majors may have been the most important player for Texas versus Bama because Texas has been coming off a week against Rice where the offensive line had a lot of pre-snap issues. We had a couple of those things again Saturday. But the thing I wanted to say about that was Jake Majors, again, communication on the road against an elite opponent. It's going to be 111,000 people there. It's going to be college game day. It's going to be Fox Big Noon. Jake Majors and the communication on the offensive line is going to be huge Saturday. Without it, it doesn't matter who the quarterback is. It doesn't matter who the wide receivers are or Jaden Blue at running back. They have to play clean up front. Everybody's talked about Michigan's 2 interior D linemen, but it's Josiah Stewart that's the guy that can wreck shop Saturday. He's a force. He is a tremendous edge player in college football. I think he had 2 sacks, 4 tackles for loss Saturday against Fresno. He is the guy that Texas has to block and the best they can on Saturday and keep him from having a huge game because he can be truly disruptive off the edge. And I think he had 13.5 sacks a couple of years ago. He can be a truly disruptive player off the edge.
All right, and Bobby, I know we got a special guest coming here in just a second, but we're getting a lot of questions. Where is On Texas Football going to be for the Michigan game?
Yeah, we actually set up a tailgate. It's 4 tents together. There's already been 250 people RSVP. We've got a spot for about 150 people more. You'll see where we're at. Game day is over there in that little area to the right. If you see the white box, if you're looking at it right there. If you see the area that says Surly Horns there with the middle spot, that's where we'll be. On Texas Football, we'll be broadcasting our pregame show from there. I'll be up there, and I hope to see you guys all over there. Make sure, Blake, would you please drop the link?
I'm doing it right now
in the chat so people can have an opportunity to sign up to get in. It is limited on space, but we should be the biggest tailgate in the whole area. So hopefully we kind of overrun it like we did last year at Alabama. If you got a chance to come to that. The guy, by the way, that I saw in Alabama last year at that tailgate is going to join us now. Brian Irwin, former head football coach of the Lamar Cougars, Hillsboro, Flower Mound Market. I mean, you've been around, Coach. You're retired from coaching now and in private business. But Brian Irwin, for you guys don't know, always does the lunch with the coach with us. We added Bob Shipley to that this year. Brian was a student assistant at Texas, then went on to coach a little bit in the college ranks, longtime high school coach, 2-time state championship high school coach. But he is a diehard Longhorn and loves watching the Texas with not just a critical eye, but also a fan's eye too. Brian, we're welcoming you in, trying to give you the introduction. I want to ask you your first thoughts on Saturday and get your initial gut reaction from what you saw from the Longhorns.
Look good. Tremendous depth, tremendous speed. I think overall one of the most dominating performances we've seen, in a opener. Just love our depth. Golly, we just haven't been this deep in a long, long time. The team speed. I like the way our kids play with effort. just a lot of guys competing. They're having to compete to play, and so when you create that internal competition within, that's when you've got something special, because you're gonna have to bust your butt just to get on the field to get in that top 2, top 3 rotation.
Brian, the other thing that I was going to ask you, you said dominating performance, 52-0.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I talked a little bit about it. I felt like Quinn played a little better in the red zone.
Mm-hmm.
Just, made quicker decisions, tighter windows, threw into them, and was successful. You were a quarterback coach, offensive guy in the high school ranks, really paid attention to that sort of stuff. Did you see any development from him that I kind of think I saw with the naked eye?
I did, but this is my first note that I've got written down was Quinn's pocket presence. I do think it's better. The interception he threw, he reverted back. Go back, watch the film, break it down, watch the play. He reverted back to old Quinn on that play. He tried to escape when he didn't need to escape. The pocket was clean. There was no gap pressure, no B gap pressure, C gap pressure, D gap. The pocket was clean, and he got back there and he went through a couple of progressions, and he panicked on that particular play, and stepped up and then tried to escape, up the middle. And he stepped up, he dropped the ball. The ball comes off the passing platform. The ball drops as he's moving in the pocket. That's what he can't do. That's what Arch does really well. Arch moves in the pocket with the ball still loaded, in the passing platform. And Quinn sometimes has a tendency to panic, and when he does, the ball drops and he escapes where he doesn't need to escape. So that escape caused him to step up in the pocket, caused the ball to drop. Then at the last second, he changed his mind. I know I read where Sark said he was trying to throw it away. No. We had a wheel route going down the sideline. The back coming out of the backfield was wheeling down the sideline. I think he was going to try to throw it up to him in a one-on-one situation. That one play is not going to kill you. It doesn't mean he hasn't progressed. I think he has. He showed a lot of maturity. I like the way he's getting the ball out in the RPO game. You think about, remember, a year or two ago, the RPO game, when he'd get out, it kind of came out slow, kind of came out with not a lot of velocity. Now, man, that ball is coming out quick and it's coming out with a lot of velocity. And that makes a big difference when you're throwing hitches and bubbles and things like that out towards the sideline. So we saw a lot of good stuff. But that one play, guys, I can tell you, I watched it about 25 times and broke it down. And I'm like, he didn't need to escape. All he had to do was sit there, and we had a split in on the left-hand side and run a deep crossing dig route. And if he throws it to him, it's probably 6 points.
Brian, what did you think of the defense, especially the secondary? Because I know you guys, coaches, had talked about the secondary being a primary concern, or primary concern may not be the right word, but definitely improve it mode back there. Yeah. What did you think of that group on Saturday?
They look good. We contested a lot of balls, and I like the way we're there. We're contesting balls, and there's not a lot of space back there. So I thought the secondary did an excellent job showing some new looks, some single high coverage that I think is going to help us, and just look like we've got a lot of multiplicity and diversity back there. I'd say the one negative I probably took away was there was some space in there in the run game, and I didn't like seeing that a handful of times. I mean, I get it once, but I don't like seeing that 5 or 6 times where there's a lot of space in there. Their back had 107 yards rushing, 25 carries, I believe, for 107. That concerns me. We shouldn't be giving up that much. They look like they had more space to run the ball than actually we did. And so that's one area where I've got a little bit of concern, especially heading into this week and as we get ready for these big games. But, I like to look at it. You've heard me say this before, Bobby. When you're winning like this and all that, we've got to coach them. Our coaches are coaching our guys like we lost. That's what I always tell my coaches when we have a big win like this. Coach them like we lost. Don't coach them like we won. We got to coach them like we lost and coach them hard. Whether it's Quinn in the pocket or whether our D line's not compressing space, not playing with great pad level, not controlling the gap they're supposed to control so the linebackers can fit, so the safeties can fit. Those are things we got to get cleaned up going this week because, it's going to be physical up there in Michigan. It is going to be a war.
Hey, Coach, we have a viewer question for you. This one from Isaiah Stewart. And he says, what's your thoughts on Michael Kern and the most important unit, special teams, altogether?
I liked it. That's another note I had written down. I said special teams look really, really solid. Kern punted the ball well. He placed it well on some punts. Our coverage units look good. Bobby, I think you had a note somewhere I saw on one of the shows after the game about having 2 returners back there and punt. I like that look. I like that because you can field the ball. Make sure you get the ball fielded. You may not be optimizing your return game, but you're going to field the ball no matter where it's punted. Silas Bolden looks very, very explosive. Golden looks explosive. Our coverage units look good. And again, a lot like last year, we were kind of bogged down there in the first quarter. And we punt the first series, and I believe we scored a touchdown the second series. And then the third series, we got the ball like their own 31. They went for it on 4th down, and we stopped them. So we had tremendous field position. Well, we go 3 and out. Well, here comes Bert Auburn. If we would have missed that field goal, that would have been a dagger, right there. I think it was start of the second quarter. And so, we're still up 7-0 that ball, but he knocks that thing through and we get the 3 points, and then the route is on after that. We scored, I believe, 3 touchdowns in a row. But overall, the special teams played fantastic. They're solid. We got great specialists and great coverage units.
And then we have one other viewer question for you. This one from Zane Petty, and he would like your thoughts on the defensive line and the running game.
Yeah, the D-line kind of goes back to what I said a while ago. I don't like seeing the space that we had in there. I don't have the luxury of going back and watching all the plays numerous times, but I did try to watch those interior guys, and we just got to play with better pad level, compress space, maintain gap control. If you're a B gap player, you got to maintain the B gap and let everybody else fit, and do it with good pad level. If you start getting a double team, you're gonna have to fight that thing and not get knocked off the ball. We got knocked off the ball a little bit, and that's concerning. But overall, I thought they played hard. Our edge rushers were active. We didn't, get any sacks or anything, but the entire D line looked really, really active. We just got to clean that up, and we got to compress space and just take the air, out of the football and out of those rush lanes. The second half of that question was what? Our run game.
Yeah, offensive
Yes,
run game.
Our run game, again, I said it a while ago. A little bit disappointing in our run game. We didn't create as much space, as much run lanes in there for our backs, especially early in the game. Once Jared Gibson came in, he had a little bit different look, but we might have been playing against different guys from Colorado State at that point in time too. They got some backups in there as well. So I would think that's a great question, because I think those are the two. If we had a couple negatives, it's how we compress space as we defended the run and how we try to create space in running the football. And I don't think we did a great job at either of those. So that's a little bit of a concern. But offensive lines this time of year just not very good. It doesn't matter who you are. There's not a great offensive line right now, but it's coming. It's coming. Offensive linemen. It takes 2, 3, 4 games for those guys to set their pads and become a unit, no matter how much experience they have. So week 1, there's not a good offensive line in the country. We need to see a jump here going into week 2, and the same thing with our defensive front.
Hey, Coach, I know you and Bobby and Bob Shippler are going to talk about it on Lunch with the Coach, but your keys for the people here, your keys for the Michigan game.
I think offensively, we're going to have to create a lot of space and be dynamic and spread the field. And I'm not saying we can't run the ball. It kind of goes back to last year when we played Alabama. We're going to have to pound the ball. And remember, when we played them last year, the dam didn't break till the fourth quarter. And it's going to be similar against these guys. I think we can run the ball, and we will. And Sark's committed to that. But we're going to have to use our team speed. I think our receivers matched up against their secondary is an advantage for us. And then defensively, we just got to suffocate them because they don't look tremendously explosive on offense. We got to suffocate them. So we play great team defense. Run defense is probably the key, and then spread the field and use our team speed. I think that combined with tremendous special teams play, don't turn the ball over. Same old things, we got to take care of the football, play great special teams, and I think we'll come out on top.
Brian, thank you so much for your time and joining us this morning, buddy. We'll get back to you and definitely see you tomorrow. You and Bob Shipley getting together for lunch with the coach.
You bet.
Hear more from Brian. Brian, we appreciate you, buddy. I'll see you. Are you going to Michigan? You are, aren't you?
Yes, I need 4 spots for that tailgate, so I'll be there. I'm pretty good at tailgating these days.
Love it.
Hey,
coach that wins tailgating, nothing like it, man. Nothing like
That's
it.
right.
We'll see you, Brian.
Thank you, guys.
Be good, buddy. All right, have a good one. Brian Irwin, look forward to seeing him and talking to him a little bit tomorrow on Lunch with the Coach with Bob Shipley. Hey, Jerry, I wanted to get to you real quick, if you don't mind, because I know you need to get out to Saraland and KJ Lacey's practice. Give folks a recruiting update. They've been asking about Bo Barnes, the Dallas Skyline linebacker, as well as you put up some news on ontexasfootball.com this morning about a new offer that Texas has out in the state of Georgia, another Peach State defensive lineman that Texas offered.
Yeah, and while I do that, Blake, let's play the Ricky Stewart highlights from this week because we're going to play a player's huddle highlights every day at somebody in the Texas class that from their games. And this is Ricky Stewart, 10 carries, 225 yards at Jasper, catch for 23 yards, slasher with physicality, guys. Ricky Stewart off to the races in his senior season against a fast, athletic Jasper team. So Ricky Stewart, big first game. Yeah, so on Texas football, I'll save Elijah Barnes for last. I'm in my car. I'm at Saraland High for those just joining in. Saraland's getting their practice going. I'm going to get out of here in about 6 minutes so we can go I have a thread on ontexasfootball.com. I'm on the road all week. When Texas is on the road, most of the times I'm on the road during the season, and I'm going to be at Saraland. I'm going to be in Georgia, Florida this week seeing top targets. But, KJ Lacey about to start practice here. I already have a picture of him. He walked in his Texas gear this morning. The defensive lineman is one of the most underranked players in the country that I mentioned this morning on OTF. Texas actually offered Walter Mathis Jr. out of Savannah Calvary Day. They offered him in late March, but they really didn't get any traction. Walter Mathis made visits to Clemson, Miami, Auburn, and LSU, but he's not committed anywhere. And I was told by somebody close to that recruitment that Texas has had a couple of positive conversations with him in his circle here in the last week. So Walter Mathis Jr., I don't know if you have time to bring up his huddle, Blake, but while I'm talking, but Walter Mathis Jr., really, really good defensive lineman out of Georgia. I think he's a top 150 level kid in the country, even though he's not ranked there. Hopefully people will wake up to that in our industry. But Walter Mathis, tremendous prospect. We'll see. Does the conversations lead to a visit? We'll see. So this is Walter Mathis Jr. He's 6'2", 285. So he is a bully now. Look how low he plays. Look at that explosive power. Look at him run to the football. Does that look like anybody that played at Texas last year? Maybe. I'm just saying this guy is a powerful, physical, wants to beat your butt type. Look at his stance. Look how athletic and powerful he looks in his stance, guys. That is what Byron Murphy and the former Texas commitment Brandon Brown. This kid is really good football player now. I mean, look at him. Look, that's a lot of want to, Bobby. You see want to on tape from guys, but look at that stance. He's ready to pounce and have with power. That dude's a ball player. So again, Texas is in contact with him. I think Texas is hoping to get him on campus. He did not commit early. Again, visited Clemson, LSU, Miami, and Auburn. But those dudes win football games in the SEC. So we'll see what happens. Then on Elijah Bo Barnes, look, I think here's the thing. You're not 100% committed if you go make a visit to a school when you get on where you have to get on a plane the first week of the season. No way around that, right? You're not 100% committed. I think the key with the recruitment, if you don't follow up with a second visit, official visit, I think that if a second visit scheduled, that's not a good sign for Texas in that recruitment. We'll see where it goes. I think Texas will probably have talk with Bo Barnes today or tomorrow. Texas is knee deep in Michigan prep, but I think that's what's coming. But the reality is, you don't get on a plane and make a visit the first week of the season when the team you're committed to is playing at home. If you're 100% committed, that's just recruiting, right? There's no way around that. And so we'll have to see what happens there moving forward in the next 2 or 3 weeks. I think the next 2, 3, 4 weeks here, Bo Barnes is an early graduate. So if an official visit is scheduled in the next 2 or 3, 4 weeks, then that would be a telling sign for me.
All right, Jerry, I know you got to leave here soon, but before you do, I need a huge favor. I need you to tell everybody about Manscaped.
Boy, can I do that. I tried to warn Colorado State that the 5.0 was coming. They didn't listen, I don't think. Fellas, do you want your grooming routine to be a one-and-done deal? Well, the days of using the same trimmer for your face and your private parts are over, thanks to our friends at Manscaped. They've come up with the ultimate package to keep your hairs trimmed from 12 to 6. Introducing the Beard and Balls Bundle featuring the Lawnmower 5.0 and the Beard Hedger, a trimmer for your moneymaker and another for the boys downstairs. Get 20% off plus free shipping with code ONTEXAS, all caps, at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with code ONTEXAS, all caps, at manscaped.com for the premium grooming experience. Trust Manscaped. Now, let's just talk about this. Yes, I love it. Yes. Again, just like the lawnmower, which you just heard, the Beard Hedger is also waterproof. You can handle your beard grooming right in the sink or shower without worrying about water damage. With up to 60 minutes of runtime and an LED charge indicator, who doesn't want that in their Manscaped? You'll never be caught mid-trim with a dead battery. That would be bad news, guys. Manscaped, on Texas, all caps.
Thank you so much, Jerry. And like I said, I know you got to get out of here real quick. I just want to read this to you from Jeff Carey, Super Chat. Thank you, Jeff. He says, Jerry, you're a recruiting tracking animal. Love the hard work. You deserve a virtual hug.
And again, and William Niche, he has a Super Chat as well. I'm definitely doing that, man. Go get some beef jerky from Robertson's at Love's. We'll be passing one of those today. So I'm at Saraland. Fixing to walk out the about to walk out to practice. KJ Lacey starting to throw the ball around. The D lineman Antonio Coleman, who flipped from Bama to Auburn for the second time. See if he's still talking to Texas. On TexasFootball.com. I have a thread all week from the road. I'm going to be seeing a Nick Brooks this week. Some Texas targets. Maybe we just talked about him or have in the last couple of weeks. And Friday, I'll be in Jacksonville for Jamie French's game. So we're going to have some fun on the road this week, guys.
All right, Jerry. Well, thank you. Be safe out there, and we'll talk to you tomorrow morning.
I'm fixing to get going. Y'all have a good one.
Later, bye, Jerry. Hey, guys, people saying that Jerry works hard. The man is dedicated and is the best I've come across, and I've been doing this for 30 plus years. There's a reason when we started on Texas football, he was the guy I wanted to talk about and bring along and make sure that he was part of it from the very, very beginning. And so, guys, I got to tell y'all, you're lucky because other sites and other schools, they don't have a guy as dedicated as Jerry or as knowledgeable with that institutional knowledge that he has. Hey, Blake, please tell folks about HelloFresh, our other sponsor this morning.
That's right. I can do that, Bobby. And with HelloFresh, you get farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. You can skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. And with summer in the rearview mirror and football season ahead, now is the perfect time to save time and money when it comes to your dinner routine. You can skip the meal planning and grocery store lines with HelloFresh's convenient doorstep delivery and pre-measured ingredients. And we all know life is busy, especially this time of year, especially for me. My wife and I are chasing our 3 kids around playing football, soccer, whatever it may be. So we don't really have a lot of time to cook. But HelloFresh is so fast and so simple that it works great for us. And I know it's going to work great for you too. And here's the best part. HelloFresh is going to hook y'all up with free breakfast for life. All you have to do, go to HelloFresh.com/freeontexas. You're going to receive 1 free breakfast item per box while your subscription is active. That's free breakfast for life just by going to HelloFresh.com/freeontexas. And that's HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. Okay, Bobby, we got a lot more to talk about here. And one thing that I wanted to get your thoughts on, I mean, with the first week, or technically the second weekend, but first real weekend is almost in the books, especially after tonight's Florida State game. And the Heisman odds have been updated. Dylan Gabriel and Jackson Dart and Cameron Ward now all tied at that #1 spot, followed by Carson Beck and then Jalen Milroe and then Quinn. That's your top 10 right there. Follow Nico, Will Howard, Miller Moss, and Travis Hunter rounds out the #10 spot. But curious to get your thoughts on that list.
Well, here's Dylan Gabriel. His team did not score many points going until they went into the fourth quarter. They were very much like the Texas-Wyoming game a year ago, where Texas kind of exploded in the fourth quarter and didn't make it a game. That's what Oregon did against Idaho. But at one time, they were only up 14-7, and Dylan Gabriel was 35 of 40, yet only scored 14 points. So he's going to have that Will Stein offense is going to look really good on a quarterback from a stat line perspective. He's going to have to win a lot of games to actually win the Heisman, though. I think people realize that there's a little stat padding there. The same can be said for Jackson Dart. Cam Ward certainly made the biggest impression on me in week 1 from a Heisman perspective. The other one, it's at the very, very bottom of this list, is Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
If there is a better position player in college football, hard to find, right? I mean, yeah, there may be a great defensive tackle like the ones at Michigan, or even a corner or tight end at Michigan. Those guys are all elite level dudes. There may be a defensive tackle somewhere. I mean, I get it, but Travis Hunter is a difference making dude now. It ain't about Shedeur Sanders up there. He definitely is a piece of it, but Travis Hunter is a different level guy. I was slow. It's not that I didn't like him early on, but once you see, he is actually I don't think Shedeur Sanders improved year over year much based on what I saw this past weekend. Travis Hunter has continued to improve, and that's because his ceiling is off the charts. So I actually like that Travis Hunter's there. I do think Cam Ward, if Miami can really put points up like that and not just be Florida falling apart, which I think we might be seeing, is one of those as well. Hey, let's talk a little bit more too about this fact. Stephen Shell says, how nice was it to not have Big 12 refs? I saw Kevin Marr reffing the LSU USC game last night, and I got to tell you, there was a hold where a guy had his arm around the defensive end's neck. The defensive end still made the sack, but in every other conference, every other place, it would have been a hold, and there was no flag. And that's my problem with refereeing. And it's not just Kevin Marr; it's the whole Big 12. They refuse to call holding. We talked about this. You realize that Colorado State was called for 2 holds on Saturday? Colorado State was called for 2 holds. That's like the most holding calls Texas has gotten against an opponent in like a decade in a single game. So my point on there is to Stephen Shell, yeah, I'm ready to get out of the Big 12 because I think they let holding go way, way too much. Now that could come back and bite Texas in its offensive line. I'm well aware of that, but I'd rather holds be called holds and play it fair and square down the middle.
For sure. We got some more super chats we need to get to, Bobby. So let's go ahead and knock those out of the way. Tub in Texas. Thank you, Tub. Bacon, sausage, eggs, HEB coffee, and on Texas football. Hook 'em. Crickets from the LSU trolls this morning, and Texas A&M let Lagway slip out of their backyard. I'm loving it.
I kind of agree with you. Lagway is going to have to be the answer at Florida if Billy Napier wants to save his job. But the problem with Napier at Florida is that quarterback's not his problem. It's everything around him. I don't think they have a good offensive coordinator. I actually think he's really bad. And giving up 38 is not going to win you many games, period. So we'll see how all that turns out. But LSU, they've lost 5 straight season openers, Blake. You aware of that?
5
That's bizarre that's just bizarre for a team like them. 5 straight season openers. Brian Kelly's lost 3 of them.
Yeah, that is crazy.
It's like he went to the mic last night and was like, we had it there in the fourth quarter and just didn't finish. And he goes, I guess I got to do a better job. And I'm sitting here thinking, every Cajun down there saying, yeah, you better do a better job, dude. We'll take care of you if you don't.
And while we're on that subject, Bobby, Justin Yarbrough, I want to know your thoughts on Brian Kelly's post-game comments. Of course, he was up there slamming his hands down on the podium and, talking about how his team just kind of gives up in the fourth quarter. So what's your thoughts on that?
Follow the leader, baby. That it is something that every coach fights, and I understand that. And I'm making light of a serious situation in Baton Rouge, actually, right? He can't go out there and do it for them. But I mean, last night, Garrett Nussmeier had a really good game, the quarterback at LSU. I thought he had a really good game, managed the game well. He missed a wide open back out of the backfield in the flat on a second and 8 from like the 15-yard line. I'm not sure that back wouldn't have walked into the end zone, and he skipped it to him. It was just a bad pass. And I was like, wow, like pressure got to Garrett Nussmeier a little bit. And maybe I think Nussmeier is going to be really good for LSU. But maybe that was his welcome to the big league moment where he actually got a little starstruck and wasn't able to make it. But the LSU has so much talent, they'll be fine, but fine won't be a national champion. It won't be a national championship this year. They just don't have the dudes on defense. And I'm not sure. They definitely don't have as good of players on offense as they had a year ago. Although I think they may have found something in a running game with John Emery.
And Nussmeier has a brother, 2027 quarterback recruit, getting a lot of interest as well. So pretty good player. Jesse Wyatt. Sorry, I didn't see this before Jerry left, but I'll go ahead and read it and we'll bring it up tomorrow when Jerry's back. He says, Jerry Hamilton, a.k.a. G-Ham, we beat your Lufkin Panthers again for the 10th time in a row, 7-3. I have to give you a hard time every time about it. So we will be sure to bring that up tomorrow to him, Jesse. And then Longhorn Frenzy, Bobby, he says, hook 'em, fellas. Great time at the tailgate. Appreciate On Texas Football for what you do for all the OGs and Longhorn Nation. Hook 'em.
Appreciate it. It's nice meeting you as well. And you guys come out to Michigan. If you're going up that way, or tune in. We'll have stuff for you all week long there in Michigan. Look, I enjoy. Jerry does too. We just like going out and seeing what's going on pregame and all the pageantry of college football. Colton Martinez, by the way, Blake, I don't know if you saw this. Blake, you came by the tailgate with your family, et cetera. But Colton Martinez, the trombone player in the UT band, he came by and hung out with us for a little bit because the band gets together right where that tailgate is. That was great. It's fun, man. That's what college football is supposed to be about. Go get with your buds, go hang out, chill out, go watch the Longhorns win, revel in it. And I really enjoy game day. It's just a lot of fun.
Oh man, how awesome that it's back. I mean, we have waited. We did the countdown right here on the show. I mean, it seemed like forever. So So happy that it's here. And more college football tonight. That's what's great. Naaman Roberts, nothing attached to your super chat, and I looked, but I may have overlooked. So if you'll just send it normal, I will ask that for you or say whatever the comment is. And then UT boy Bobby, I think he's talking about Ricky Stewart here, but I'm not 100% certain. He said, I thought he was slow. Bobby, who thinks this kid is slow? Exactly.
I don't think Ricky Stewart's slow, guys. I think he's not 4.3. That's the difference. So again, there's and I think we're having a relativity problem, right? Like for a running back, 4.6 would be considered slow. Okay. If he's not the fastest running back, he can still be 4.5 or mid 4.4s, but not be the fastest. I think Ricky Stewart's plenty fast. He's faster than James Simon, the other running back commit. I've been on record saying that as well.
And homegrown Cowboy with the chat. Thank you, Cowboy. He says, Bobby, how are we looking at the tight end position?
I thought Texas looked really, really good. And I'm not sure if you're talking about recruiting or the team, but I thought the tight end position looked good. They had they targeted three different tight ends, four times, all 4 receptions, twice to Gunnar Helm. Great move in the open field. They got Juan Davis involved for a first down. Amari Niblack was in on several red zone appearances. Don't know if y'all noticed that, but he seemed to get more work in the red zone, which I thought was interesting. Not always in line either, so he was flexed out quite a bit. So I think he might be part of the red zone attack for Sark, at least early on. As far as recruiting is concerned, I think Texas has 2 tremendous tight ends committed right now. Nick Townsend out of the Klein Spring area up in Houston. I think he had 2 long touchdowns. Now, this is a tight end, right? That runs 10-9, 100 meter officially. So he had 2 long touchdowns on Friday night. Emory Winston, young man out of Georgia, the other tight end commitment at this point for the Longhorns.
And speaking of tight ends, Bobby, Miami with their 9th year tight end in Cam McCormick. Jeff Carey says, how do you become a 9th year senior?
Hey, there are people. There's people I went to Texas with that made sure they were 9th year seniors. They just weren't on scholarship the whole time. It just took them a while to graduate, baby. He could be a medical doctor by now, by the way. I mean, just think about that. If he would have put his nose to the grindstone in academia, he could already had a whole all medical school paid for, et cetera.
But he did get his first touchdown for Miami this weekend, so good for him. Yeah, had a couple with Oregon in the past, but he get his first one as a Hurricane. So
that kind of ties into something that I want to mention that I don't know if everybody caught, and it deals with the NCAA rules. Obviously, a 9th year senior is just incredible, no matter what however that came about. The NCAA, every time I start to think they're being smarter and getting out of other people's way, Blake, they take a step back. So Oklahoma State came up with this cockeyed idea to put a QR code on their helmet. Yeah. Okay. Nobody's going to zoom in and use a QR code on a helmet and you pay for somebody's NIL. It's just not going to happen. But Oklahoma State thought it was cool and they were going to put it on their helmets in a little small decal on the back of every player. The NCAA said, no, you can't do that. Why does the NCAA care? I mean, people put little small decals on the back of their helmets all the time. Why does the NCAA care? I mean, what? I just can't. I mean, get out of the rule book, dudes. Stop thinking that you. I've made this reference before. The NCAA is like an over-officious HOA. It's like the homeowners group that tells you to paint your mailbox every week. You know what I mean? Or, your trash can came out. Your trash can went out at 4:59 instead of 5 o'clock on a Monday. Can't do that. Can't take it out until 5 o'clock. You know that. That's the NCAA. It's like Byzantine, stupid rules. This is what Charlie Baker and his group were supposed to be getting better at. And I really thought and have thought that they were. Stop. I mean, this is why I think it goes back to why I think they just need to get out of it altogether. Is little small things like this that it's last year with the kid at North Carolina that didn't get eligible until the 4th or 5th game because he didn't fill out a piece of paperwork right, and so he got put in jail for that. Basically, man, it's just who cares if they have a QR code on the back of their helmet? Is it going to give them a competitive advantage? I mean, what?
I'm anxious to hear Gundy's comments.
Well, look. Oh, hey, what if the Buckeyes that they put on the Ohio State, that dot their head, what if those included QR codes? I bet that would be illegal. I guess. I mean, who cares? Why would you even think to care about that?
Oh man. Hey, I think Naaman Roberts, I hope this was your super chat comment because you posted this after I said that a second ago. But he said, Bobby, I love Coach Irwin's insights, but I totally disagree with how our offensive line played. I saw some great blocking.
Well, I think we all agree with that. There's two pieces to what Brian was getting at, and I texted with him a little bit about this. I think he's on the outside blocking. There's a couple of highlights right now where you can go see Cam Williams literally destroy some people in space. Kelvin Banks getting out and leading that reverse to Isaiah Bond. I think he was talking about creating space between the tackles. That's the difference. I don't disagree with Brian Naaman, although I thought more of the space was on the outside. So Jake Majors pulling, by the way, was a new feature. Texas had pulled Jake Majors, I think, 3 times in this game, the center. I saw that on rewatch. So they're going to plan to do some different things with that O-line this year to lean in to an experienced offensive group. The best thing that Coach Irwin, I thought, said, though, actually, about the O-line, and it's something that typical a coach would say that a fan wouldn't think. No O-line. He said no O-line right now is great because it takes them a couple games to get and set their pads and really play as a unit. I thought that was, even if you have 4 or 5 starters returning, no O-line in the country right now, in his opinion, is great because it takes some reps, in-game reps.
This question, actually, let me read you this comment here from Laguna Beach first. He says, new subscriber and first time joining the chat. So first off, welcome, Laguna Beach Longhorn. Glad you're here. You're all great at what you do and love all the Texas football insights and information. Looking forward to tailgating with this group in Ann Arbor.
We'll have some fun, man. My wife is coming. You guys that are coming, you're going to get to meet the great Jenny Burton. So watch out. She may take it all down. But my point, guys, for y'all, come join us. We're going to have fun. If you're not there and just want to see what the ambiance and everything's about at Michigan Stadium beforehand, we're going to have that tailgate. We'll try to do a little man on the street. CJ Vogel's going to be up there walking around, and you'll be able to see the pageantry, etc. It should be a fun time for everybody, but it'll be the first time the Longhorns head to Ann Arbor.
All right, Bobby, this question here from Carrie H. It's an interesting one. I want to get your thoughts. I'll even put it up on the screen here. What record will Florida have when they roll into Austin?
Dude, I think they're going to beat Samford.
You would hope.
Here is the big one. What about Texas A&M? Did anything A&M did on Saturday give you confidence they would beat a moribund Florida program? I mean, anybody? I have no confidence in either of those teams at this point.
No.
I think A&M definitely has a better defense, a more solid defense.
I agree with that.
I think A&M has, the A&M fans have no confidence in their offense. Now, maybe Notre Dame turns out to be, the greatest thing since sliced bread on defense. And so this is all us just talking about A&M's offensive woes when they really don't have many. But I did not see an A&M team that would move the football against air. That's kind of the I just didn't see a really good football team. People are saying maybe Wegman was sick during the game, had a fever prior to the game. That might explain some of it, but his receivers didn't look open. I mean, that was
No.
They ran the ball effectively at times, but when Notre Dame put another guy in the box, the run game went the way of the dodo bird, and then Wegman couldn't get the ball to anybody because nobody was open. And Wegman was, either rattled in the pocket or just off with his passing. I don't know what their record will be. I mean, 1-2. I think A&M beats them. I think they beat Mississippi State. That's 2-2. I think they probably lose to Central Florida based on what I saw. If they still have issues, that's 2-3, 2-4 against Tennessee, 2-5 against Kentucky, 2-6 against Georgia, maybe 2-6 when they come to town. I would say for safekeeping, I would say 3-5.
I was going to say I'm going to go with 3-5 as well. I think they could possibly beat A&M because number one, it's at home, and then maybe they get a little confidence built against Sanford. Maybe.
I'm going to say this: there's going to be boo birds out in Gainesville. The Swamp is great.
Without a doubt.
It's a great home field advantage when your team is good. When your team sucks, they will boo you, and it is not a home field advantage at that time. I mean, you guys have been in DKR when that's happened.
Oh.
It doesn't turn into when you lose 66-3 to UCLA, it was not a home field advantage for the University of Texas. And when the Boo Birds come out, that is not a good scene. And I think that Florida is on the cusp of that right now. It could go from, a party to a morgue pretty quick. So I don't know that that's going to actually be that big of a benefit for them, even though you would think on paper it might be.
We got time for just a couple more questions, Bobby. But before we get to those, one last time, can you let everybody know about John Donovan and Longhorn Wealth Management Group?
Yeah, absolutely. As a proud UT alum, John served 15 years as a Texas Ex's board member in Dallas. He's now helping the build out of the Collin County Texas Ex's chapter. John's a certified financial planner with more than 30 years of experience and expertise in helping Longhorn families maximize their wealth, minimize their taxes, and secure their legacy. Today, John celebrates his 1-year anniversary as a sponsor of On Texas Football, and he wants to continue to offer all of you a free 90-minute consultation to explore your financial needs, interests, or concerns, and to help find optimized solutions and strategies to satisfy them all. Simply call Longhorn Wealth 972-707-4900 or go online to longhornwealth.net to schedule your free consultation. John hopes to see everybody in Ann Arbor on Saturday that can make it. He will also be joining us at the tailgate. Hook of John. Hope everything's going well this week, bud. Good to see you over the weekend.
Okay, Bobby. Hey, by the way, we haven't even mentioned this. Number 1 volleyball.
Woo!
Number 3 Wisconsin yesterday, nationally televised game on Fox. And then they play again today against the top 20 Minnesota team, but took 3 of the 4 sets from Wisconsin. So starting off the season with a bang.
Yeah, absolutely. Maddie Skinner's going to be the best player in college volleyball, in my opinion. The outside hitter for the University of Texas. I think she probably was last year as well. But I'm a big volleyball fan because I got made into one because my daughter played. You know what I mean? So then Texas goes and wins 2 national championships in a row. So you pay more attention to it. We got to do a game day from Gregory Gym.
That'd be awesome.
Maybe that'd be fun. Just bring it to life a little bit for folks. They deserve it. Of any team on campus right now, any program on campus, they're as good or better than any of them. They have definitely put it up.
Yes, for sure. All right, Bobby, this will be the last question of the day, and I'm a firm believer in this. G. Burnett says, they say the biggest jump a team typically makes is from week 1 to week 2. What improvements are we looking for to be able to make a deep run?
It's a great question, first of all. I think that Brian or Coach Irwin was on to something. when he talked about, being better against the run, because look, Texas they cannot let the defensive tackles get into the linebackers. And that happened way too often on Saturday. They have to do a better job up front. So gap integrity and that sort of thing, G. Burnett, I think is huge. I did not see Blake anything else where you just say, hey, they got to do this better. I would like to see Texas eliminate some false starts. They had 2 on Saturday, one of which got them out of field goal, or got them. They were going to go for it, I think, on 4th and 1, and the procedure took them out of that and made it a 4th and 6. So they punted. I would like to see a little bit of that go away, but Texas had such a fine overall performance. It's really hard for me to sit here and poke at one individual thing. I mean, that's when I wrote this morning on Texas Football, Blake. That's what I was talking about when we saw, quote unquote, a complete performance. I mean, what else was there? I mean, I felt like the wide receivers actually blocked well on Saturday. That was kind of a hidden thing. I watched that a little bit in the rewatch. The tight ends didn't block particularly well in line. So maybe that, although they did block well on max protect, I thought that was good. I don't know. There's probably small things I could sit here and give you guys, but y'all saw what we saw. You saw a pretty complete performance.
Yeah.
I mean, more space in the run game. Great. That they're just, they have the capacity to be a really, really good football team this year. Will they be good enough to go up and beat Michigan, defending national champs? We'll see on Saturday. But this is not Texas has moved on from being, I can say this with full conviction now that I've seen them once. Texas has gone on from just being a decent football team or a one-hit wonder. There's too much talent on this team right now to be a one-hit wonder. I really do believe that. So good stuff.
Hey,
I'm excited.
Bobby, a couple of people are mentioning
be.
defensive end play. Like a few people have said that. What were your thoughts on that, and what do you think about that going into Michigan?
I thought they were very good. Barron Sorrell looked good. Trey Moore, they didn't really run at him. They didn't even give him a chance to rush the passer because they got the ball out so quick.
Yeah.
I thought Justice Finkley looked okay against the run. Colton Vosick got his most reps ever at Texas. Ethan Burke looked good. Colin Simmons looked really, really good. Why is everybody complaining about no pressure? I thought there was plenty of pressure. That he couldn't just sit back there and throw. No. There was none of that. I mean, Vernon Broughton batted down a pass on a 3rd down. I mean, there wasn't if there were a situation where we were worried about that, I didn't feel like the guy was sitting back there with all the time in the world surveying the field. You know what I mean? He had to make relatively quick decisions, period.
For sure. All right, Bobby. Well, that's going to do it for today's episode of Coffee and Football, presented by Donovan and Longhorn Wealth Management Group. We want to thank them, along with Manscaped and HelloFresh, for sponsoring today's show. It's Michigan game week. You got a lot planned. Of course, the tailgate, which we've talked about a couple times this Saturday. But what do you got planned for later today right here on Texas Football?
Well, Sark, it actually happened during this show. He usually has his Monday press conference at 11:30. He moved that to 12:30 today. No reason given. Probably just scheduling conflict. But what that means is we'll actually have live notes and comments from Sark around 12:45. CJ Vogel will be at the press conference, as well as our producer, Matt Hutchison. So we'll have some live notes from there. Then Rod Babers, as well as Coach Bob Shipley and CJ Vogel, come to you with the winning drive starting around 3 o'clock. And then tonight, Jerry and I are at it talking ball. there's going to be some recruiting talk in that. Jerry's down at Saraland. That's why he's not here. If you're just stopping by right now, Jerry actually was here at the first half of this show and then had to leave because KJ Lacey, the quarterback commit out of Saraland, is starting practice, and Jerry is down in Mobile this morning to check him out. Jerry's then going on into Florida and Georgia to talk some of those recruits. Texas offered another defensive lineman from the state of Georgia. They actually did that in March, but have reestablished communication. Young man out of Savannah, Georgia. So a lot of stuff going on for us. We also have tomorrow hope to have the voice of the Michigan Wolverines on as well with us. So we're gonna try to play this up big. Do you guys service? I hope y'all enjoyed some of the new things that we've added this year. The rewatch with Rod Babers I thought was great yesterday.
Awesome.
Brian Robeson and teaming him up with Rod Babers in the post game was outstanding. I mean, I'm excited about where we're going with On Texas Football, and hopefully I'm equally excited about where the University of Texas is going on the football field, because this week's a big one for Texas, and we'll be here for it every step of the way.
And by the way, if you haven't already, be sure to head on over to ontexasfootball.com. You can use promo code OTFOG. You get a full year for less than $40. You can't beat that. More Texas content than you can shake a stick at. And then be sure to hit that like and subscribe button, ring the bell so you're notified anytime and every time we go live, post content, whatever it may be. With the season in full swing now, you don't want to miss anything. And between those two avenues, we'll have you covered. So we will be back same time, same place tomorrow morning. So for Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton, I'm Blake Monroe, and we'll see you then.
Thanks also to Brian Irwin.